Hey guys, welcome to our channel. So let me just start by saying I made a mistake. Apparently, I was looking these translations back over, seeing if I missed anything, guys, because I found it odd because I thought that my technique was right for getting the vowels and that they didn't seem to hook up. And so I looked them back over as I was getting ready to do this video and realized that I missed a few things and they do all hook up through gematria. All right. So there's going to be a separate video coming out on the translations, assuming that I find anything. Like I said, the 5 that did hook up or 4 that did hook up, I search in the room, among others, 3. Came up with a search room of some sort. And I don't know if the rest of these translations are going to come up with anything usable or not, but they do hook up. All right. So we're not throwing them out. We're not putting them to the side anymore. It was my mistake. There's a lot of information, guys, and I apparently was off that day. I couldn't number that day. But I wanted to summarize, though, what we did find on Joan Jett in the Blackhearts, I Love Rock and Roll, and it ended up being South Texas College. All right. Pecan Campus. And I guess when you take all of this, you break that all down and get the 4 ciphers. Now, let me just say that breaking it down into everything that we do, that we try to get all the information that we can out of it, that actually provides less chance that everything's going to go through and connect to something else that we got. All right. If I stopped with I Love Rock and Roll, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, I Love Rock and Roll, and then maybe I Love Rock and Roll, and then South Texas College, and left it at that, there's a higher probability that those numbers will go through and hook up and connect to the other effects than if I break it down farther, find out who's in charge of South Texas College, where is it located, you know, stuff like that, what they were looking at, chemical warfare, breaking down South and Texas and College and McAllen, Texas, and breaking down Texas. You doing Pecan Campus by itself, but by the time you do that, you're actually creating less chance that all these are going to get checked off. And they all get checked off because they've got a quantum computer running a gematria algorithm. And therefore, we can trace it back. Now, I'm still looking forward to doing the mileage for the map that Danny found. We'll start with the numbers and then work our way back to the letters and see if we find anything throughout that. Or if it even works. It should be interesting. I don't know that it's going to work. It's just an idea that we came up with. But anyway, I'm getting off track. These things to the tune, and they match to the tune of, I think I counted like 65 number categories that they hit when you're getting through all this. It's definitely running the gematria algorithm in our opinion, guys. And part of what I wanted to do had to actually do with these translations, but I found that I was wrong. These translations, in fact, do hook up, and they will group all into groups of probably coherent word or messages or phrases that maybe we can run one, and we'll find out. But yes, the more we break down, the less chance that everything we get will connect, is the thing. And when we get something that with something connected to it that ain't connecting, we might have a problem. And so far we haven't. So far, everything that we've come up with in the decodes has matched through gematria to the other effects and to itself. And I wanted to explain that farther too. I mean, you know, um, South Texas College 211 and Joan Jett 121. They're the same value. What are the odds? Um, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts 85. And I see 185, 85. And that's something down here. Oh, biological warfare 85. Imagine that, right? This quantum computer goes out and finds something that's a geometrical match for what's going on and who's doing it. See if I can get another example here. Yes, South Texas College 86 and Jones 68. You know, I love rock and roll 80 and TX, the abbreviation for Texas, McAllen, Texas, where South Texas College is located, is 8. They're the same value. You drop that zero anyway when you drop them down. The zeros don't matter. How about chemical warfare at 126 and stand and dancing at 126? Those are the direct changes in the song, and they were looking at chemical warfare. Like, the odds are just astounding that this could be a coincidence, and it happens time over time. I mean, I'm just going to randomly go back. Let's take, and I didn't circle these or anything. That's the bad part, because I wasn't worried about that then. But those I'll have to actually look for. So will I look for these, because that's when I was doing all 8, remember, at once. Let's go to stovetop stuffing. What are the odds that E. Michael Moon, the head of Stouffer's Food Corp, would be 118 and Kraft Heinz would be 118 in the same cipher? That connects through the algorithm. Stouffer's to Kraft, or Stouffer's here to Kraft Heinz here. So they're still connected. And what are the odds that it would have that Stouffer's would be 59 and Stouffer's is 39 and stuffing is 39 and Stouffer's is 114 and stuffing is 114. So Stouffer's used to match stuffing. Kraft doesn't match stuffing at all. But now it does, because while the quantum computer did change it, it also made sure that it's still synced up and hooked up right here. This guy and Kraft Heinz. So then these two matching is just as valid, because this guy is connected to Stouffer's. And this guy is also connected through gematria to Heinz. So it all worked out. What are the odds? You know what I mean? Like, the odds are just astounding. And Guns N' Roses better? Here's another one I have circled. Guns N' Roses and Troubled. You know, what it changed to are 119. But Chinese Democracy, the name of the album was 282, and Professor Subra Suresh, the guy in charge of Nanyang, was 282. So right there, that tells you something. If I can find it, yes. I hope it can be seen. But 282, and down here 282 for Professor Subra Suresh. And then everything that got checkmarked here, which is everything that I broke down, hooked up in other ways. And that goes on. I mean, if I had these circled, I could go through every single one of these and show you how they hook up to each other, or to itself, I should say. And I've shown you how they hooked up to each other. But let's see if I can see a quick thing here, because I know it's here. We'll find it. I see I marked that. Not real sure why. Lebowski and the is 48, but that's not what I was looking for. Well, guys, I could sit here and find the connection, but it could take now. Well, here, let me pause it and I'll find it. I'll pause this and I will find it. Okay, yes, this one's a little more subtle, but the Big Lebowski is 66, and and Claremont, California is 66, and also Car Alarm is 31. And Len Jessup, who happens to be the head of Claremont Graduate University, is also 31, and the car alarm is something that was missing in the Big Lebowski. So yes, you have connection there, and you have connection wherever this 66 is, right here. Claremont, that's where Claremont Graduate University is located. All right. So yes, you could go through. I could go through these, and they connect to each other and themselves. But I'm running this longer than I wanted to. So for those of you that are following along and actually getting it, I guess what I'm trying to say is, in summary, all these connect, like they intertwine through a, I think I've said it before, like some sort of a cross of quantum entanglement and a gematria algorithm that the quantum computers are running, or at least some of them. All right. And I did, like I said, I found that I must have been on the right track, because our translations do hook up. So we'll see if they yield anything other than what I found already, a search room, which wasn't much. But remember, we found communication a whole lot in our gematria decode, right? Communication, quantum communication, communicate. So maybe this is a communication of some sort as well. Kind of like Willa Thorson at Miami University from Metallica Fade to Black. So I guess that's all. I'll go over this video and see if I wind up posting it or not. If not, I guess no one will see it anyway. Because it was really, it ended up differently than I planned. So, but what do you do? So, I guess that's going to be it. I will look at the translations and see if anything interesting comes up. And if not, I may just go over the translations and their groupings, and then we will move on to binary, once forward, once back, with this 3-letter code. And then we'll move on to something else when we get through it. I'm not sure what yet. But yeah, I'll think about that. Maybe the maps, maybe my Guns N' Roses pretty tied up search, or maybe even Jesse R's suggestion of comfortably numb, uh, where receiving changed to receding. We got a few options going on, so we'll figure it out. But anyway, for now, guys, thanks for all your thumbs up, thumbs down when appropriate. By the way, if you're still with me and you get anything out of these videos, please thumb up. But thanks for all your comments, leads, feedback, and subscriptions. And I hope this helped the people that are following along understand the astronomical odds that would go into this being a coincidence. It would be crazy if it was, because then anything could be a coincidence. There's no way you repeat this much and it's a coincidence, in our opinion. And once again, I want to say once again, if anybody's still with me, somebody could argue that all this stuff is in here and all this stuff hooks up through these numbers as a coincidence. but they cannot argue that the stuff is in there and that it hooks up through these numbers, because we can prove that. We think it's because it's a quantum computer. All right, so I hope somebody stuck with me to this point, because I intended to mention that as well. It can be argued that this is a coincidence, but it can't be argued that it's there. Okay? Because we can prove it. I'll say it again. We can prove that it's there. We can prove that these numbers are connected all. And somebody can argue coincidence, and that's it. I mean, I don't know of another argument for it, because you can't argue that it's there. You can only argue why it's there. So our argument is it's a quantum computer designed by the Freemasons running a gematria algorithm. And it's going out and finding uh, something that matches and changing it in reality, because it operates in reality. It leaves its code. In the case of this I Love Rock and Roll, it was to the point, or to the tune of 0.29%, not 2.9, 0.29, less than 0.3 of 1%. And you got all that. And it all hooked up. So, again, you can argue why it runs through the categories, why the information's there, why it hooks up through these numbers, why it converts to numbers and keeps on going through the categories. You can argue the point of why, but you can't argue, nobody can argue that it does. Once again, that can be proven. Proven. All right. So guys, hopefully this helps. And we'll come out with I'll run these dang translations that I missed, and we'll see if we get anything out of it. And if we don't, we'll move on to binary, and then we'll move on to something else. Sorry this ran long, but again, anyone that wants to get it's going to stick around, and anybody that doesn't, well, they're not. So there's that. All right, guys. For now, you guys have a great rest of your day.